Hello, this is Julia Bell. I'm your professor for digital forensics. Today, Chapter 3, Using Acquisition Tools. I'm going to talk about some of the background and getting the equipment in the lab set up and run you through the very first lab. First, a little review. Recap. Today's the 12th of September. Last week in class, we had downloaded Kali Linux for VMware, along with several other software packages, and we talked about Chapter 2 in detail. So if you did not get Kali Linux for VMware downloaded, this is a great time to get that done. I'll remind you a little bit, there's the website, or you can just Google Kali Linux and go to the downloads. Do note the login password, and the login name root and the password of Tor, and also make a snapshot of the SHA-256 sum screen, because we're going to do a comparison later on. Second thing, we're going to compare the hash of that VMware Linux. There is a website I'll show to you here in a minute that kind of walks you through how to do it, but I'm going to actually walk you through it as well. Going to start PowerShell in Windows 10. We're going to make sure you've already located where your downloaded Kali Linux is. This is where mine was on my machine at work, for instance. In PowerShell, we're going to change the properties to the screen backgrounds are currently black. I want the background white, and I want the text black. So we're going to reverse all that. Maybe change the font to something larger. After you get that done, you're going to need WinZip. So if you haven't downloaded that, download it. Next thing, in PowerShell, it's time to begin. You're going to type get-file hash, capitalization exactly as I have it, space, C:, the whole file path name here, and then end out with the name.7z or whatever is on the one that you get. And replace this with the file name and the location of your file that you downloaded. Note, you're going to compare the hash of the SHA with the hash that's available on the Linux download page. They should match number for number. If not, or if it fails, try it again. You may have typed something wrong. If it's still no match, download Kali again because you have got a corrupt version. And the lab I'm going to go over today is Lab 1.1, preparing a target drive for acquisition in Linux. And in that, a couple of things to note. The lab goes from pages 98 to 103 in your textbook. And before starting this lab, after you get the VM built, we're going to go through all that. Insert a blank USB drive into your PC. At this point, Kali's going to recognize it and notice it. And also make sure you're using the latest version of Kali Linux for VM. On page 99, I want to also make a note of step 6. Use the fdisk. Space /dev/sdb as in because, not A as in apple. You use the B to indicate the USB drive, and I'll show you that when we get to it, but I want to make you aware of that. If you use the A, you may damage your VM and cause yourself some grief. On page 100, step 9. First, before we do this, we want to do a D. D will delete the current partition. Again, we're only working on the USB drive, not your VMware drive. Especially if it's a small USB drive, you're going to need to do this to create a new one before you proceed to all the rest of step 9. Okay. Going to go real quick and get my book. Always something I forget. The book was what I forgot. I'm using the VitaSelf bookshelf. I'm already logged in, so I'll just go ahead and bring this book up. Great, there it is, and it goes back to the last page that I was on. All right, I can minimize this now. and that. And I'm going to close down that PowerPoint presentation. All right, first things first. If you haven't already downloaded Kali Linux, now's a great time to do so. The main downloads page has got a lot of things. You can get the image and build it yourself. You can get a pre-made VM, which is what I'm asking you to do. And you notice that I went to a slightly different section of the website. All right, here are those VMware images, VirtualBox, and Hyper-V. You can get the regular Kali Linux and build your own. I'm going to choose a 64-bit. At this point, I would go save and let that process begin. I've already done this, so I'm not going to waste video time for that. Cancel. Here's what I want you to notice. This SHA sum. When we get to the point of comparing it, this needs to compare exactly and match up with the one that you've got. Okay. I'm going to show you this. This is another link that I had. This kind of walks you through all about the comparisons of hash and how to do that in great detail. And then here is a web page where you can download 7-zip, and here's the 64-bit version. Gonna get that out of the way. Okay. What I want to do is first off go here, downloads. Here is my Kali. So what I'm going to do first is start PowerShell. Oh, wrong one. Whoops. There we go. Mine has already been changed, but I'll show you how to make those changes. Click right here to go into Properties. Here are the colors, the screen text. If you wanted it black or maybe you like blue, you can do that. The background color, I chose a white. The default was a black. If you want to change the font, you can make it something bigger or larger. I made it bigger. It started out much smaller than a 16. I'll just make it a little bit bigger just for the sake of it. I now turned the text blue on a white background. You know, I like the blue a lot better. All right. So what I've got to do is, here is my file. And I know that's located in downloads. And if you're not really sure, let me go ahead and do this command for you. Here we go. The get, and I'm sorry that's in yellow, which is hard to see. That's the one thing I haven't figured out. I'll work on that one. Okay. I'm going to copy this. Oh, that's ugly. A little too close. There. Now I need to actually paste in the file name, and rather than trying to type this 3 times incorrectly, click on it slowly, and then I'm going to highlight everything including the extension. Control-C to copy that, and then Control-V to paste it right there. This is going to be the get-file hash, and you tell it the complete path to where this file is residing and the complete file name. Press enter, give it just a little bit. All of it's pretty quick except when you're sitting and watching something. There. Okay. It tells me that the algorithm used was a SHA-256. Here is the complete hash value, and there's where the path of that particular file was. Now, here is the SHA from the website. Gonna make it a little bigger. All right, so you're going to compare these numbers with this set of numbers. 887-244-A6977. Yep. All the way. Yeah, those are right. Those are right. Those are right. 33A47B89. ED9758A9EF CB1. Bingo. Exact match. This is great. Make sure and take a screen print of this to include with your Lab 1-1. I want proof that you have actually done this. Close that. I'm great. I've already copied this to where I want it to be. I've got a terabyte solid state out here along with a bunch of others, but all right, I already copied it to here. The next thing you would do would be to right click on it and then using 7-zip extract it. I've already taken the liberty of doing that, so it's right here. The only other thing I've got to do is to go into VMware. All right, I shall do that. VMware should be right here. Got to get rid of that one. Okay. What I want to do is I want to do File, and I want to do an Open. Again, this is a pre-made VM that I got from the Kali Linux website. Put it on B. It is now under Virtual Machines. No, did I copy one there? No. No, I didn't. Okay. I'll just go copy it right there. Because I like to keep all my virtual machines in one place. And again, this is a large file, but it's on a pretty fast solid state, so it takes practically no time to copy from one part of the solid state to another. And it's really a large file. Or excuse me, a large set of files. Okay, done deal. All right, I'm going to go here and go ahead and open that. Voila, VMware's got it. This is 2017.1 VM. I'm going to power that up. Yes, I did copy it. Notice it's all these different things, including the headset I'm wearing. I'll just say, you can go ahead and click on it to accept that, or just wait and it'll skip it itself. I'm going to resize the window here. Great. The username is root, R-O-O-T. Password is Tor, T-O-O-R. And again, when I'm running VMware on a solid state and I'm running the VMs themselves on a solid state, it does kind of spin up quickly. A couple of things I want to do here real quick. I want to go into the terminal. And if you didn't see where I just went, I'll do this again. All right, here you go. Here's Firefox, terminal. We've got files. Metasploit, we'll be using that a lot next semester with the course we're going to be teaching then. I'll also use Burp Suite then. XSS framework I'll be using. We're going to use LeafPad today. Here's a tweak tool. Applications, there's so many. We can't even touch all those in one day. I'm going to go to the terminal. All right, I really want this to say your name, not Kali, and that's not a hard thing to fix. But first off, I don't like the black background. I want it to be white, and text maybe could be black or blue or whatever you want. All right, come on. Usually it's the keyboard having a fit, but today it seems to be the terminal. Okay. All right, edit and profile preferences. If you want to name it, you can. If you want to change the font to something else, be my guest. I'm going to focus on colors. All right, I want the text color not to be white. If blue works for you, works for me. Or black, I'm going to make the background instead white. You want it bold to be a different color. What color would you like your cursor? You know, just to be on the doggone different side. And if I want highlighting, maybe I'll have highlighting in the, there we go. So whatever it is that you like, and you can pick how transparent it is. I'm really good. When you shut this, voila. The white in Kali is a little bit of a blue because of the way that their little dragon has to be. Now, the next thing that bugs me is this. I'm going to show you how to fix that. I'm going to go ahead and close this terminal. We're going to go into LeafPad. Yes, you could have run LeafPad from the terminal, LeafPad space, and it gave me the direct path to the file that you needed to change, but not everybody is real familiar with where files are when you first start using Linux. So I'm going to take you the friendlier way for today. Later on, and especially next semester, friendly way is over. We'll be going command line. I'm going to File, and I'm going to choose Open. Okay. What I'm looking at here is the file system. That's where I'm going to go. And the file that I want is in ETC. Notice the folders are first and then the files. I'm going to scroll down until I find host name, HOSTNAME. Great, there it is. Date its last change, when you double click on that, it'll open up. Not a fancy file, all it contains is the word that's used for the host name. I want to take this out, and I'm just putting my first initial, my last name. Same thing for you would be great. That way I can tell who turns in the lab. I'm going to File, and I'm going to save this one. I've got one more change while we're here. I'm going to do File, and I'm going to do Open. The next one I need is Host. It's still in the ETC directory. The only thing I've got to change here is the Kali. It needs to be exactly as the other one was. Again, the case matters. If you do uppercase and some lowercase, it has to match exactly because Linux means something different to be a capital J as compared to a small j. All right, in this case, I shall choose Save. I'm going to close that. All right, I'm going to show you this. Nothing changed, right? You have to reboot the machine to get the name changed of a host. So I'm going to do that. Going to go there, and if you ever wonder how to power it down, you're seeing. Click here. And if you want to turn it off, power off, I'm just going to restart it. And it restarts. I'll click Enter to make it go a little quicker. Again, it does boot back up pretty quickly. Okay, user, make sure you've clicked in here, root. I didn't do that right. Caught me. All right. Great. Remember what we're going to check? We're going to check to be sure that the host name changed. Yes. This is also very helpful when you start doing some advanced Linux things, to where if you want to name each version of Linux and make sure and change this, maybe one is the attacker, maybe one is the victim, maybe one is whatever. I've got different server names that I attach to things, and the terminal I have come up with those names because it just keeps it so much easier to control. All right, now I'm ready to actually look at the lab in the book. Here we go. This is the actual digital copy of the book that I'm looking at. I have started that. I'm ready now. Let me go back to VMware so you can see this happen. Okay, I'm going to insert my USB drive. I'll say remind me later. I don't want to do that now. I'm going to insert my USB drive. I've got just a little 4 gig, not special drive. I'm going to put that in the PC. And I don't want to format the drive. And it's saying, hey, we found a drive. Sure, we'll use that. Great. Now I'm ready to look at some of these items. It says to do SU, but to be honest, I don't really have to, but I will just for the purpose of it. In other words, super user, I logged in as root, so it's kind of over. I'm there anyway. So that's the deal. I'm going to do an fdisk-L. L's and Larry. This gives me two different things. Well, one, where's the other one? Okay, that's interesting to know. Okay. Some days you have to go with backup plan. Try a different one. Okay. Just like in Cisco, you can use the up arrow and have it to do that again. There's what I needed. I needed it to show the second one. All right. Let me make this a little bigger. And if you notice this is kind of floating in the middle and you're kind of like, wow, that's not helpful, you can choose to fit the guest. And notice the blue stretches out, the desktop of the Kali. And you can stretch this out more if you like. The fdisk-L, 40 gig is my Kali VM. Down here, and it tells us it has 1, 2, 3 partitions in it and how those are used. A Linux partition, an extended, and a Linux swap with Solaris. Down here is this little USB that I just put in. And notice this, SDA is an alpha, primary. SDB is in beta. It's a secondary. This one is my USB. The book will tell you to use A, but that's just not going to be a good idea. All right, back to the book. Here's what we just did. Now I'm going to come down to this part. Remember in the directions I gave you at the beginning? No to the A at the end. We're going to use B. So fdisk, the /dev/sd, B as in because. Okay, fdisk, dev, sd, B as in because. Enter. It's saying, hey, welcome to fdisk. You're going to change, changes are going to remain in memory until you write those, and I'll show you how to write those. In the book, the first thing they have you look at is M. M is for the menus, to show you the things that are possible with this fdisk command, because we're now in the middle of it, and we are actually focusing all our attention on SDB, which is my 4 gig little USB drive. Or is this one 4 gig? I swapped out. No, this is a really tiny one, much smaller. Okay. Here's some of the things you can do. You can delete a partition. You can add a new partition with an N. You can print the current table of the partition. Show me how it's currently done. You can choose to write the changes to disk. You can quit without changing anything. So there's a lot of choices. All right. So I've now done this page. I'm ready to go to the next page. Here we go. I did the M. Now I'm going to do the P. It's going to print out the structure. Okay. This USB drive has one whole sector, one whole section. It's a small drive, so that's not a problem at all. And that's what it looks like. It's a FAT16. My ultimate goal here is to create a drive that I can capture FAT32 stuff on. I want to capture some Windows things. FAT32 would also work, of course, with Linux. NTFS, not Linux. NTFS is not going to work with what? Mac. Not going to. There's still a problem with that. All right. So I've now done the P to look at the file structure. I want to now, it's saying to do a new. Well, I don't want to do a new. I want to delete. You got to click back in here, yes. And it had one partition on that USB drive. I'm going to P to look at, now there's no partitions on that USB drive. So the thing I want to do is to create a new one. It's going to ask, would you like a primary or an extended? I want primary. And what partition number? It's going to be the first and only one, so 1 is good. You can tell how many sectors you want in it and what the last sector should be. I'm just going to let it do the whole thing. Remember I told you this was a FAT16 before? Now it's going to be marked as Linux. Here's how I know. Because it listed this when it got done. I can do a P and look, and sure enough, here it is, and the type is now considered Linux. For my purposes, I really want it to be something else. So I'm going to go forward in the book. Also, this is a great time to be taking another screenshot to show me that you could create a new partition. Here's the news, so I know that you did it, and here's a confirmation of that. That is going to make another great screenshot. You know, you may put me down some notes and tell me what you did to create this. That's the main thing about these labs, is demonstrating that you have accomplished something, that you've learned something, and not just picking some random stuff, picking some milestone events, and that's a milestone. The next thing I want to do, you can do an M to look again, but what I really, really want, I'll do the M, is I'm going to talk about the type. And here is type. Change a partition type. Currently we're Linux, and that's not really what I want. And if you don't know which type you want, you can L and show me what you've got. Anything from empty to 12 to 16. I mean, there's all kinds of choices here. Dr. DOS, I hadn't seen that in forever. There's some Minix if you haven't used Minix. That's pretty neat. Here's your A, B, and C. A C is a FAT32. Windows, a lot of great things. I want a C. It's now created. Now look at this. Changed from Linux to a Windows 95 FAT32. That might be a great thing to screenshot, or the next one where you actually show me that it's now a Windows 95 FAT32. So there's three great opportunities to show what you've done in this lab. All right, I've already got that done. On to the next page. See, when you get the lab set up properly and your equipment working properly, the labs are not that difficult. It's just knowing what to do and how to get started. What I need to do now is, before I finish, I need to W. W is going to write the changes to this USB drive. Done. What it's telling me is, you know, some of the stuff still exists. I'm going to have to reboot to access it in its new way, which I don't really want to do that right now. So I'm going to end this lab. And you've seen at least 3 prime places in this lab that you should take screenshots. And again, I've been Julia Bell, and it's been a pleasure, and have a great day.